evening. Hey guys, Easy Weezy once again, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys once again. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. And I'm happy to be with you guys once again. And a big shout out to everyone that has been with me, that's been rocking with me all this while. A big shout out to those who have taken their time to support. If you're stumbling across this video for the first time, or if you're watching this video in the first time on Substack or on YouTube, make your way down to the subscribe button, subscribe so you can get more videos like this. And you can also follow the channel or follow the page, and we all get to work together and grow together as a people and as a community, where we talk about synesthesia, we talk about philosophy, psychology. Because for me, I use synesthesia to portray the connection we share between ourselves, between the cosmos and between the universe at scale, because synesthesia is when sensories in the brain overlaps, giving the range and a variety of sensations. So when physics and chemistry meet together, it births something new. When electricity and magnetism meet together, there's something new. So I try to use synesthesia to portray that on a smaller scale, but use it to portray it on a larger scale. And today, before I get into the subject I'm going to be talking about today, I just want to appreciate everyone for taking the time to work with me, to watch the videos that I've been putting out, even if I skipped the last one, because the last post was a collaboration post with a friend. I just want to bring the political aspect into what I was talking about. We don't know where that goes, but I hope you enjoy reading. Politics is just like a reflection of the self in general, or the mirror of the self. So because humans are what makes what sits in the high place to become politicians and get to rule over us and get to do. So we and the politicians, we are same, but just in different skills and different levels. And today, I'm going to be talking about living as a prism, a skeptical, scientific, counterbalancing perspective. Because I dropped a post to this, it's going to be in the link of this video, but this is going to be like a counterbalance perspective to what the post is all about. And the core idea, before I'm going to read it out, I just want to touch about the concept of God, because the concept of God is what I always like to touch about when I make my videos. I try to tie it up with intentionality that goes for everything we do. Intentionality in terms of when you're learning a new skills, intentionality when you're reading, intentionality when you're cooking, intentionality when you're going to even eat, intentionality when it comes to drinking water, intentionality when it comes to when you're making your coffee, intentionality when it comes to when you're learning any new skill in a sense. There's a lot of intentionality in that, and that is what I like to tie with the concept of the divine. In order to connect to the divine or to be able to connect with God, there's an intentional aspect that is attached to it in everything we do. And I always like to bring that out. I always like to portray that out so that when you watch this video and you get to talk and you get to have, or you get to be in situations where you have such conversation about this, the ideology or this name called God, because it has been debated for thousands of years. So it's as old as humanity itself. So I always like to bring it, I like to portray it and say about the connection with this divine means that there's an intentionality that is needed in that perspective. And moving on from that, I'm going to talk about the title of my new video, or my new post that I just dropped in attachment to this video, is Living as a Prism. We started by talking about the prism of the self and talked about how the self is split into the various prisms, but now we are ending it about living as a prism, understanding what this prism is about. And the core idea behind this video is the prism isn't just a symbol of spiritual illumination, it's a model of psychological reality. Living as a prism isn't about radiating white light. It's about understanding how your attention, biology, and inner conflict bends, scatters, or focus your experience of self. True light emerges not from mystical transcendence, but from learning how your mind works and repairing the distortion that keeps you from clarity. So that is the core idea behind my videos, and I hope you get to understand from the core idea, you have an understanding about what this video is all about. It's not about just being mystical or the mystical transcendence, which is one of them, but learning how the mind works. Mind is a very, very, very broad topic that I hope to be able to go in as we get more knowledge, as we get more understanding, so I can share with you and get to understand the mysteries of the mind. I'm going to read my understanding because I always like to express my thought process in prompts, in short write-up, in prose, or however you want to call it. But I hope as I read that, I hope you enjoy listening. Introduction. What if I told you that idea of awakening your inner white light might be incomplete, maybe even misleading? You have probably seen the pretty versions by now. Be the prism. Let the white light shine through. Integrate your colors. Beautiful. Before you click away, hear me out. While the poetic idea of being a prism is beautiful, there's another side to the story we often forget. Humans don't just refract light, we generate shadows, distortions, and internal noise. And understanding that might even be more important. Today, I want to explore a different angle, one rooted in psychology, neuroscience, and the messy truth behind human. This video isn't a rejection of the metaphor, it is a balancing force. Let's begin. The prism is not always clear. We love spiritual metaphors because they make us feel orderly, but real life is chaotic. Trauma, stress, expectation, conditioning, they don't just color our light, they bend it, twist it, and sometimes block it out completely. From a psychological standpoint, what we call white light might actually be something far simpler, a nervous system that isn't in fight or flight, or as I say, a nervous system that isn't in fight or flight, or even freeze. When the body is safe, the mind feels spacious. Not because of cosmic illumination, but because cortisol, like the psychologists say, the cortisol levels stop shooting. That means it calms down immediately, that means it's more balanced. In other words, maybe your light is just what you feel when your biology stops panicking. And that's okay. It doesn't make it less profound. It just makes it human. Maybe your light is just what you feel when your biology stops panicking. And that's okay. It doesn't make it less profound. It just makes it human. Integration isn't enlightenment. It's maintenance. Mystics talks about integration as transcendence. Psychologists talk about integration as adulting. Let me explain. Your identity isn't a prison. It's more like a committee, a loud, blinkering, dysfunctional group chat. You have the inner child, you have the protector, you have the achiever, you have the critic, you have the dreamer, the parts that wants to sleep and just nap forever. Integration doesn't mean merging them into white light. It means getting them to stop yelling over each other. Neuroscience calls this coherence, not mystical radiance, but communication between brain networks. In moments of clarity, different parts of you stop competing and start collaborating all together. That's the light, nothing supernatural, just inner alignment. But mindfulness isn't about presence, it's about interruption. You have heard 1,000 times, be present, be now, focus on the here, focus on the now. But from a cognitive science view, mindfulness is less about being present, but breaking the automatic loops. Like when your thinking self just runs away and starts thinking, and then your observing self brings you back. So that is not about being present, because if you are being present, your mind runs away, and then your thinking self takes over you. But being present means you are aware that your thinking self has started going off, and then you bring it back with your observing self back into alignment. We spend most of our life on mental autopilot, meaning replaying the past, rehearsing the future, catastrophizing tiny events, imagining conversations that never happened. Mindfulness interrupts the loop. Like I was just saying, it's a pattern breaker, a disruption, not a spiritual glow, but a neurological pause button. And that pause, that's where your clarity sinks in. Maybe the prison isn't the self at all. Here's a twist that I didn't put in the Substack post. What if the prison isn't you? What if it's your attention? Your attention filters reality. It decides what matters and what doesn't. It refracts everything you experience. A distracted attention, fractured being. A focused attention, white light. Maybe the self isn't luminous at all. Maybe only attention is. And the self is just whatever the attention or your light falls on. So what is white light really? That's the question. From a scientific perspective, or from a scientific standpoint, it's coherence between brain networks, the connection and the union between brain and strength. It's reduced internal conflict. It's clarity born from safety. It's attention without distortion. From a philosophical standpoint, it's the moment your identity stops performing. It's the moment you are not trying to be anything, just awareness, without costume or without story. Is this less magical than the spiritual version? Maybe. It's no less meaningful. But the truth is, you don't need to be divine to shine. You just need to be honest. That's just one way to be. And honesty and purity and all these things about you, allowing your divine self to shine through. The blind spots we need to address. Integration is impermanent, meaning you will lose clarity, you will fall into thoughts, and you have thought patterns that just keep taking over you again and again as you be pulled into traumas or experience past or the experiences you are experiencing now, and the thinking self might be lost in thought. That's not failure, that's biology. And sometimes the goal is to simply function, to show up, to be present, and that is just enough. Sometimes the prison needs repair. Therapy is as sacred as meditation. Somatic work is as deep as mysticism. Praying and healing is science and art, not just illumination. So when you're praying, you're healing, it's the same thing as science and art. It's not just illumination. This complements of the substract post, where the written piece speaks in metaphor. This video is a mechanism about how it works on a mechanical way, meaning in action. Where the substract lifts you up, this piece pulls you down into the body, the brain, and the evolutionary machinery that is at work, which is our body. Together they reveal something bigger. You are both the mystical prism and the biological organism learning how to function. Like, and then your brain is still using the same way of the hunter-gatherer's mentality, meaning your brain is trying to understand this new information age where we have information just passing through and flying through at all sides. Your brain is getting used to it. So you give your brain time to be able to understand this and process this. You are light and wiring, spirit and synapses, meaning and mechanism. You are not one or the other, you are both. This is the end of my little short prose or my little short poem or write-up, whichever way you want to call it. And for those that read the post attached to this, if the subtle post whispers to you, you are luminous, this video whispers back, you are also human. And that's where the work really happens. Not in transcending the world, but in integrating the transcendent world to become, like the Bible says, the kingdom of God being present on earth. Meaning, like my husband Ramon would say, he said, we want the government of heaven to be present on earth, and that is all about government. And trying to bring out the way you see that people always say heaven is always very orderly, heaven is magical, there's so much orderliness, cleanliness, there's so much purity, and there's so much, there's no friction in the way the heaven flows. That is what we humans are trying to bring down on earth in a sense, and in a nutshell, trying to bring out that same luminous, that same frictionless way, that same purity and cleanness. And it's a work in progress. Not in dissolving the self, but in understanding its mechanics. Not in chasing white light, but in learning why it disappears and how to bring it back. Thank you for watching, and if you want to read the other part of this, or you want to see a counterbalance or a counter argument to this video, there's a link on the Substack post in this video, and you can read the poetic half, you can read the mystical. I hope it's on my Substack page. I hope you enjoy listening. And I want to say, two halves, one whole. The Tao says the yin yang. We have night and day, we have male and female, we have boy and girl, and that is just the beauty of life and the integration of what life is all about. I hope you enjoy listening. Once again, it's a pleasure connecting with you. Wishing each and every one of you a beautiful day, and do have a good one. Bye for now.